Hi, folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm toning down on my caffeine. I'm Matt.
It's the NPR version of Saturday morning Samoflange.
Hello.
I'm Benjamin.
Hello.
Pleasure to have you here today. We're going to check in with the weather now, and it's cool and just 45 degrees for the freezing, and it's freezing out all outside. It's nice and cold here in Louisiana. We're way far colder than we are used to, and we appreciate it and enjoy. So,
You know what would make me warmer?
Move to Australia. What would make you warmer?
If Robin was here.
Robin. Oh, Robin. We miss you, Robin.
I do.
Yeah, she's a
Mr. Smile.
Cozy person. That's for sure.
Good hugs.
Good hugs. Good joyful exuberance.
So when you told me you wanted to talk about Count Varney, you did not mean for the podcast.
I didn't mean for the podcast. I wanted to talk about it because we finally got to perform in a play together.
Yeah.
We've known each other for decades now, and we've been on stage around each other a lot. We've never actually gotten a chance to perform. We almost did. Like we got a week before, and then COVID took away How to Succeed in Business, and so that didn't happen either. And we got to finally do it, and then I left. So we had our final performance on a Saturday night, and then I had an offer to go to Canada the next.
You
day.
did, and you left and did Clue.
And I did Clue on stage with 2 days of rehearsal, and so I flew to Canada right after red eye flight 6 in the morning, and then I got there that night, took a nap, and then I got up and I learned my lines for 3 characters in Clue, and I performed it on Wednesday, and it was a
After, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I thought the last show was the best.
it was the best show.
Even though, I'll be honest, I think crowd reaction wise, there wasn't a night I was disappointed. For me.
I was disappointed one night, but only one night, and that's when my entire family was there, and I think it's their fault.
Oh, I think it's that curse. I know that there was little old lady in the front seat night who was just spaced out, and I kept
nodding her head. At
I kept
everything.
asking her for her attention, and she kept looking at me and giving me the big toothless grin and a wave, and I thought it was so darn adorable. There was the first night.
Well, let's back it up first.
Well, okay, go ahead.
We got to introduce this to everybody who doesn't know exactly what we're talking about. The Castle of Count Varney, written and produced, well, not produced, but
No, written by me.
written by Matt Wilkins himself, a dinner theater extraordinaire professional who's directed and performed in many dinner theaters over the years, but finally returned to the stage after how long?
9 years, was it?
9
we said
years since you've been performing in anything.
I think so.
And you finally got.
Because I mean, we don't count How to Succeed, right?
No, we can't. It didn't ever performed.
Yeah.
Never produced it. Nothing. So it's 9 years since you've been on stage.
Let me make sure.
You've written several dinner theaters in the past. This is one that you had written, and you had pitched and was accepted, but never produced. Right.
Well, yeah, this is one that was written for the next season of Murder Served, because we're going to do 3 things. You were frustrated. You couldn't find something.
I want zombies, and you said, well, how about vampires?
Yeah, I said, how about vampires? And they said, okay. Then
I was
it didn't make
I
it.
couldn't find a good show.
So I said, well, how about this one?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
This is when I was in Australia.
And and she said, yeah, this is good. So I said, well, let me update it. And so I wrote a little rewrite on it, and we did it that way. And then you said, hey, I'm just worried that I won't get enough guys. And I said, well, if you need someone, I had to check with Megan, because I remember I said, well, Megan, I said, I kind of want, she said, well, do it. I went, well, you're doing everything, and I'm not leaving the kids alone. I'm not taking them with me. And I said, babies are too little and too rambunctious. And she went, well, I'll be done by this time. I said, so I could do it? She went, yeah. I went, all right. Wow. I said, well, if you need someone, I can do it. And then auditions came. We feel differently about how auditions went.
We do.
Because I felt there was plenty of replacements. I even texted you and said goodbye.
There's enough talent in the room.
Because I said there's enough talent here. I was very impressed. I thought anyone, I'm not saying that everyone was terrible, but any one of them could have been Otto.
Sure.
Besides the original Otto we picked, because they were all different versions that I thought could be worked with.
They all had a different flavor.
They were all very talented and all very different.
Right.
And I thought there was one Count Varney that was really good. I can't remember his name, the kid with the big hair.
Yeah, agreed.
And I thought that is a great Count Varney.
Yeah,
That's like, oh, I can watch this Count Varney. And I text you and said, hey, I resign my role, give it to these guys. Yeah. Because I didn't want to take away a spot from people like this.
You texted me in the room.
In the room during it.
Yeah, during auditions.
Because I was very happy. But I was very happy for you because people don't get that kind of turnout. I can't tell you how many dinner theaters I get from, I still get from Strauss saying, hey, Matt, we can't find any blank. Can you help us find? Do you know anyone? Do you know? Wow. I still get those. They struggle. There's always struggles to fill a cast. Wow. Always. But not this one. So it was a good turnout. Good turnout too. Yeah. I even think, even though it ended up being you made the right decision, but I even think the other girl from Madeline was a good pick. I don't know names now because they weren't part of the cast, but I thought she was great.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. That came with Kara.
It ended up being that Kara gave us a different version and actually gave that vampire personality and finally got things to click with everything else. Because the other girl would have been fine.
She did great.
But she was playing the role I imagined, but I told you I was still having problems with that role. So it wasn't the imaginary role.
Kara had something that was a magic. She had a twinkle that happened in the middle of a read-through at one point. And she created something new, like on the fly. Did. And she improvised something.
She owned the character.
She owned the character and made it her own in a moment. And that was what won her the role.
And something, I believe I told you this. I think I said this one night to everyone. Or I don't know if she was here. I don't know if Robin was here to hear this. Robin said she would die. That was it. It was after they left. I told you this. And what's her name? Sydney. I said, it's funny that she said, I can only be this one role. I couldn't play anyone else.
Oh, I know.
Because the whole time she was auditioning, she was excellent as Eleanor.
Yeah.
I told when we were driving home, I told Megan, I said, I'm kind of confused on the pick here because, and I didn't know that Robin had begged you, please, don't let me be anyone else, because Robin deals with a lot of confidence issues. And the thing is, she shouldn't.
No.
Because I think she would have been surprised as Eleanor. Not that Megan was bad. Megan was fine.
No, Megan's
terrific,
but
you switch the roles, and both girls would have been absolutely stellar.
I agree.
In fact, I'm going to go even a step out because, and Megan did a great, and I love Megan. Megan did a great job. But because it was in line with a previous character she had done, it was really hard to separate the two for her. Yep. And that's a hard struggle. It's almost, and she wasn't, it's almost like being typecast in the same character. If Robin would have taken it, she has zero confidence in herself, but I'm telling you right now, and you know it too,
I do.
She would have not only owned that, but I think Eleanor would have been just as popular.
No kidding.
I had a feeling when she was reading Eleanor, I was like, wow, I can really work with, I can see.
Yeah.
Because, I was thinking Robin for Penelope too, just the way she was and everything. And when she switched on to Eleanor, and I was shocked to hear her say she had zero confidence and was scared to death. You'd give her a role like that.
Yeah. Scared to death, but also honored and touched.
And but I remember when she left, I confided to her, I said, that's so funny because I thought, holy crap, she can read Eleanor well. And she underestimates her talent.
She does. So the first person, and Megan and I called first. Megan and I was the first person I called when I decided I wanted to direct this.
And rightfully so.
And because I did a really bad movie with Megan, that's how we met. It was on the film set, and the script is, horrible film set. But just like we were talking about last week on Saturday Morning Samoflange about Christopher Reeve giving his all in Superman 4, is that Megan was able to take a really terrible script and a bad amateur movie, and I was on the set and watching her, like I was interested in what her performance was because she was just giving it and making it good, and I was interested in everything that she did as an actress, and then that's the reason I called her for The Science of Murder, which we did last summer, which is the character you were talking about, which is very similar that she did, which was the angry mad scientist or the don't mess with me female protagonist, and so she was the first one I called because I knew that any of those girls, she could have pulled it off. So I sent her the script first. First thing Megan said to me, I
would play any character, but I do not want to be Penelope. And I was like, really? Okay. Well,
funny.
and she wouldn't have done it if I would have offered her Penelope. So
That's
one of the
funny.
reasons so the second person I called was Robin Jennings. And because Robin she was on stage with me in Ruston when we won every single award for the play that goes wrong early last year. So almost 2 years ago now. And that play is so funny and so perfectly written that even just reading the script, you will laugh out loud in your chair all alone at night. That will make you laugh. That script is so funny, it will crack you up. Just if we stood on the front of the stage and read it to the audience, it would be the greatest thing ever. And Robin came in completely just, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so nervous and everything else. She made that show even funnier with her talent and natural ability, natural instinct and everything. And that's why I knew I needed her. So I knew I needed Megan. I knew I needed Robin. And I said, here's the script. Please read it. Please tell me what you think. And from the get-go, Robin was saying, I want Penelope, and that's the only one I really want. I'll play Eleanor too, but whatever.
And talking about Megan, the way she played Penelope was also, and now Robin brought her special charm, which killed it every night. But what Megan was doing in her audition that I thought was really great is she's littler, and the character appeared very funny because she hopped or skipped when she bounced.
Yeah, she bounced.
She physically bounced when she was saying her lines, and I said, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
That is what Penelope
That's what Penelope
is.
would do, yeah.
She's Tigger.
She's Tigger. Yeah, exactly.
And the confidence to just switch the roles.
Mm-hmm.
If we had the same cast, you couldn't replace Cara like that. But the thing is, you switch those two ladies, you have a different show.
But they both told me they didn't want the other part.
I know.
And
the
that's,
thing
I
is,
didn't promise either one of them anything. I didn't promise either one of them a part. I said, I really have to see auditions. I have to see, because a lot of casting is relationships and who you get, what guys show up, who pairs with whom, who bounces off each other's chemistry. Like, that's a big part of casting.
Now the guy that we originally cast for Otto, at first he auditioned well.
He auditioned very well.
I don't believe he took direction well, and
Struggled with it.
Eventually dropped out, and it was for the best. I think the show would have suffered a little bit, and not to be mean, because
it's fun. One of the reasons that I suggested this topic, and that I didn't realize we were going to do it on the podcast, and so we haven't prepped anything for this, but honestly, one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about it is because right after we finished our final show, which, like you said, was the best show, I believe as well, and I sat backstage behind the curtain, fighting back tears in my eyes, to be honest, because the audience was on a roll. You were in perfect form.
Yeah.
Everybody was firing on all cylinders with the jokes. They were laughing at everything. Everything came together, and I was choking back tears because it was everything I had hoped it would be. And it happened, and I realized in that moment that everything, all the hard work we had put into it, had come together, and I was so proud of everybody. But then that show ended. I went to bed, or I didn't go to bed. I stayed up packing half the night, and then went to Canada, and I didn't get to go to strike even. I didn't get to tear down the set that we had worked so hard to put up, I didn't get to talk about the show with anybody. And so I got back after a week or so, and I was talking to Beth, who's helped us with the staging and everything, and I was really frustrated. And she says, "But why? The show was so good." And I said, "Yeah, but the only thing that anyone has ever told me about the show is, quote, it was so good, or it was so great. But I never heard why. Like, no one told me anything as to why they liked it or anything else." And I was caught up in such a whirlwind because once he dropped out as Otto, and I had to take the part, because I knew the role well enough, and I thought we had enough time for me to learn it and for y'all to adapt to my version of it. And so I just went ahead and did it. And I didn't want to recast anybody else. I didn't want to bring anybody new into the mix that didn't know our style or our vibe that we had created so far.
Right.
And it was pretty tight, and it was just enough time for me to learn everything. and to memorize the lines. And, stuff.
And it went well.
And it went well. It was fine, but there was so much of a hectic confusion and conundrum that I after the fact, I look back on it now and I realized that I had so much swimming in my brain that it was impossible for me to appreciate the moment because I was directing it, I was running everything, and I was also acting in it, and that's just too much for me. And then I was on the plane the next day to go to Clue and learn a whole new part and three different things.
There was a whirlwind for you.
And I didn't get to sit and process anything from it at all or enjoy a lot of it is all.
Well, yeah, because in between everything that you're doing, because you're juggling not only director, writer, working on the set, working with Kayla's Kitchen and stuff.
The location.
Excuse me. Design, costumes.
The owners.
Everything. So it's a big whirlwind for you. But the shows, for me, it seems like there was always that. I felt like everything had, like someone asked which one of the performances were my best. I said, which one did you go to? And they say it was the one where Greg was at.
Where
like,
Greg was
you remember Greg?
No.
Who became part of our show? Because when I said, are you excited to be here? He went, I guess. Remember Greg who said, I didn't know who he was.
No, I don't remember this.
But the whole cast started talking, and someone called him out as a killer too, because I kept using him as a thing. Or the time.
You talking about Clyde?
Clyde, never mind.
Oh,
Clyde.
okay. Yeah.
Clyde. It was the time when Clyde was there.
I've become friends with Clyde since then, by the way.
Oh, man,
I've been
Clyde.
to Clyde's house.
Oh, wow.
I went to Clyde's house for Friendsgiving.
Clyde was the star.
He was the star that night.
He was the star.
Props and shout out to Clyde for being such a great sport. He's still mad. He doesn't know why we picked on him so much. He's like, what did I do?
Because he did. When I said, are you excited? Are you happy to be here? He's like, I guess.
He wasn't happy to be there.
He was just like, I guess. Just like
he was happy to be there with the two pretty girls he was with. Is the reason he got pulled into it.
So, I mean, everyone laughed, and then I just went off. There was the I've told this on my stream several times. There was the old lady who thought when I said I want to suck your blood, she thought I said
suck
butt.
Your butt.
And she wasn't being
and
dirty.
You went crazy on her, though.
And then later on, I said, well, let's get to know one another, shall we? And then I said, let's start with you, butt sucker. And everyone started laughing. And so, I mean, there was always a character or something there.
Yeah.
Like, of course, the Oompa Loompa night.
Yeah, we had a costume contest for every show, and somebody came dressed as an Oompa Loompa, and you created an on-the-fly Oompa Loompa song.
We're talking whose line it is.
And it was good. We thought, how did he sit at home and pre-write this? And I couldn't. We all were stunned that you ad-libbed that. We couldn't. We were like, is she writing this?
Her friends went, do you know him?
Yeah,
Did he know you were coming tonight as an Oompa? And she came up. She went,
how did
you do that? And I went, I saw you. And as I was talking to everyone or wooing the women, I said, I've got to put the Oompa Loompa in here, and I've got to sing the song. And thankfully, in between laughter, I know what my next.
You're coming
line
up with
is.
lyrics for the laugh.
Up with the line.
So for everybody listening at home, basically, and there's a moment in the show. There's several moments where you mess with audience members and ad lib.
But every 40 years,
she's dressed as an Oompa Loompa, and then you come up and you're like, I have to sing you the song. Oompa Loompa Doompa Dee Doo.
And it was just gold.
It was gold. Every lyric was, and then you kept going, and we were like, how is he still doing this?
There was a lot of fine moments. Another one. I cannot remember. I cannot remember her name. Amy. When Amy was there, the last one. Was that the last night? Okay. So I usually have a good line and a good witty comeback for everything.
Yeah.
On the last girl that I hit up, what is your name? And her name is Georgia.
Georgia.
And I said, George, why do I use the Tennessee joke about a state?
Okay.
So I didn't have it. So I was like, oh, Georgia. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, dang, shouldn't use that Tennessee joke. I could say I know a joke about a state. And then I made one of the corny jokes I made. Well, then I think Amy, your friend, she helped out a little bit at the end with decor.
Beth? No,
not Beth.
Who are you talking about? Susie?
Susie. Susie yells out. She said, "You should have said you liked her peaches."
Oh my gosh!
I almost lost it.
You almost broke character.
Because I went, and everyone laughed. That was a good cut. And I said, damn, that was a good one.
You gave her props.
And the whole thing, I was like, wow, why didn't I think of that?
Well, I had also,
my
like,
wit faileth me.
I had perfected my curtain speech by that point, too, where I had told the audience and I had set them up. I said, the biggest compliment you can give us as actors during a dinner theater is if you sit there and you're quiet and polite and only lightly applaud when the lights go out, you're doing it wrong. Like, we want you to interrupt the show. We want you to make call-outs and shout-outs and interact, because these actors are going to interact with you, and they might not leave your table until you answer their questions.
The drunk guy?
Oh, my word. Did he come strong or what?
This was a different night. Drunk guy comes up to me during
the intermission of the show, in the middle of the scene.
Hugs me.
Yeah. He's laughing so hard. He's got the cough coming back. But yeah, I remembered we were all confused, like, why is Matt stopping? And he came up and hugged you.
Such a great time, but he has to go.
Yeah.
And then later on, as I chased Sydney out the door,
right.
I changed the line to, watch out for the drunk guy.
Watch out for that drunk guy.
And everyone falls out laughing. Another one that Mikey, thank goodness Mikey.
Yeah.
Saw it, and no one else.
The Mikey from Saturday Morning Samoflange.
No one else saw it, and I'm so happy that Mikey saw it too.
Really?
Because Mike came up to say, you were great. And he said, no, you know what you were great on. I said, well, he went, that lady went, you saw it? So there was a lady who was paying attention to the show, and I was moving around, and I'd sneak up behind her and yell
her next line. It scared the crap out of her every time.
After a while, she caught wise, and she told her husband, you look out and do not let him do that again, because she was pissed.
Yeah, okay.
And, of course, I kept doing it.
Naturally.
Well, now her husband's on the lookout, and he'll nudge her, and she'll look at me darts, and I'll just move on like nothing happened. But there was one moment where I knew I could get him, and I bided my time.
Oh.
And it was during the reveal.
Everyone really?
Wants to know the why. Everyone's focused in. Well, thankfully, I have a line right after the why.
Mm-hmm.
I moved right on in, and I said, that's why! And she was furious, and I added the line, and Mikey saw it too. And I added, it was an inside joke just for me.
Okay.
I didn't know if anyone else was paying attention. I had no idea Mikey was watching her the whole time. I said, this lady, you're as mad as this lady is at her husband for not telling her that I was behind him the whole time. And I looked at her and stuck my tongue out like, got
like,
you.
Like, na.
You thought you could stop me. Okay, so.
No shame, dude.
She is boiling hot at this point.
Okay.
I mean, she's got her purse in hand. She is staring darts in his eyes. He is kind of like Connie.
It's like, what am I going to do?
Laughing, kind of shrugging. All right. The moment the show is over, she stands up and walks directly out the door.
Wow.
She will wait in the car.
Wow.
And I walked up to him. I said, hopefully you're not walking home tonight. Do you need to stay at my castle?
Oh, no.
And he said, it's all right. You're fine. She's just not in a good mood today.
Wow.
She has a headache.
Wow.
And I've been making excuses for his wife.
Sure.
But Mikey saw the whole exchange. He said, Matt, she got more and more pissed.
Yeah.
He said, when you delivered that line and said that, he said, me and Trey, they were watching, fell out of their chair. And I was like, you saw, I could not believe someone was, it's like someone being all in on an inside joke.
Well, it's fun because I remember
which also made the last show so great.
I remember that line too because I was looking at your character for that line. And so you had to follow that was
your responding.
That was the first time I had seen it happen. But I caught on to the fact that wasn't the first time that it had happened.
Man.
But I had no idea that was the
mercy, she was so pissed.
Oh, man, that's
it
terrible.
It literally made my, and I mean, yeah, it's terrible.
You're a terrible person for that.
I was going to go up to her and hug her.
Sure, thanks for being a part of the show, whatever.
But she stormed out. And it was the best thing. In fact, I did get to, as I was trying to reach her, I didn't hit her, and I hit Georgia, and I thanked her for coming and said, bring back your peaches, even though I couldn't use that joke. But the thing is, though, the audience really loved it. I was stopped in a Walgreens.
Really? After the fact?
Around Thanksgiving, I believe.
Okay.
And someone came up to me, and they said, hey, Count Varney? And I went, yeah. And they said, just want you to know, we loved the show. They'd never been to a dinner theater
Never
before.
been to a dinner theater.
They decided because she told her husband, she went, I want to go to one of these.
Wow.
We never go, let's go. And they went, and they said they had such an amazing time. It was way more than they expected, and they've not stopped talking about it. And it almost been mostly a month since we've done it now.
Yeah, and that's not the first time that I've heard that. Several people have told me that was either their first dinner theater or they haven't been able to stop talking about how much fun they had.
But that's the reaction you want from first timers.
Exactly.
And there were you had people raise their hand, and there was always a lot of first
Right.
timers.
I had people who's been to a dinner theater before, and it was usually about half, to be honest. I was really happy about that. They told me after the fact, or before the show was even over, that it was the most successful dinner theater they've ever had. And that we got, like financially and advertising and everything that they did, it was the most successful show they've ever produced at Twin City Entertainment.
Did you point out who wrote the script? I'm sorry, I almost cussed there.
Look, there were a lot of factors that went into making the show great. The script was certainly one of them. Your Oompa Loompa song.
I'm picking.
Your Oompa Loompa song was certainly one of the moments.
It's a mix of everything.
Clyde was certainly a big mix in the moment. Like everything was so much included that. And Robin and Kara and everything that they brought to the show, and Megan.
I want to say a few things that worked out. First off, we were worried about the wine alcohol guy.
Yeah, we got Russell to Norris. Yeah, it went. That was a struggle to get that to happen, but
went well. I felt everyone was happy.
No, he was happy at the end too.
Everyone was happy.
Everybody, it worked out really well. Yeah.
So
that was a challenge, though, because we weren't going to have it at all. Like it was just not going to happen, and they were going to try to put on a dinner theater with no drinks or whatever available, and I'm like, I have to find a way. So
the other thing was I was concerned that Kayla's Kitchen was going to give us
subpar food.
I'm old school dinner theater. Steve Munn's ingrained
very much in the quality of the
that
food.
You may not have a hamburger
at
a
dinner theater.
The best
hamburger on earth,
had.
right?
And so and Steve had a point.
Yeah.
You can't just serve at a pizza place and stuff. And you're right.
Steve insisted on steak back in the day.
The food is back. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But it matters about the quality. And I found that in Strauss when we tried the buffet route just because I wanted to see how it worked.
Didn't go so well.
It did bonkers, actually.
Really?
For Strauss. We actually did really well. In fact, I wish Steve was alive. It fixed his vegetarian problem.
Hey. Because people could just go up and get vegetables as much as they wanted, right?
And they were happy, and I was like, "Oh wow, Steve! I looked up in the sky. I just solved your vegetarian problem." But the thing is, though, I was concerned about what was on the menu and what was going out. I said, "I don't know if that's good." She gave us a sampler platter, full size platter with everything, and we all agreed there wasn't one bad item on that menu that she handed out to everyone. I approved.
You talking about Kayla's?
Yeah. The food.
Oh yeah, it was all terrific.
It was all spot on. I mean, it looks like I am being mean here, but school cafeteria food is what you think's going out. Doesn't look that special, but it's about what it's cooking. And Kayla's Kitchen that's exactly what you think.
Yeah,
it's Mama's cooking.
It's Mama's cooking
out the kitchen.
It's good stuff,
but it's really good.
It's really good.
It's really good, and everything. Yeah. There wasn't a single thing that wasn't good.
No.
And I was so impressed with that. I was like,
consistently,
really well done.
every night too. It wasn't a one-off.
Yeah, of course, consistently. But the thing is, though, that the product rolled out was top quality.
Yep.
That combined with the theater experience is what makes dinner theater so special. And I'm happy that's
what I'm talking about. And so I left for Canada and got to hear none of this feedback at all. And that's why. And it's been months now. Like, we're recording this then in 2025, and we did this as a Halloween show.
Yeah.
And so you and I have been so excited to talk about Saturday morning Samoflange every time we've seen each other since that we just have never discussed it. And I don't know why. I think there was a time.
I haven't even shown you all my fake pics of Robin I've made since then. Oh, wait, that was a joke.
I needed some time to come down, though, from it, too. Like, I needed a break because I was so wrapped up in it. And then I went and did Clue, and then I came back and did a show at Strauss for a little while.
Yeah, you were busy.
I worked and then I did a movie in between all that. We did the Rake investigation. During Castle of Count Varney, I went to on the weekend and filmed a movie, like, for crying out loud. So it was a lot for me, and so I needed some time to just decompress, as they say.
Yeah, and eventually Robin is getting on this.
She's coming on the podcast.
She's coming on a podcast. I don't know which one, but she's invited to both.
Okay.
But
we'll get her here.
We will get her here.
We'll get her here.
Anyway, though, it was a good job. We can talk more about it
next Saturday.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say there's other things that I've been writing down that I don't know if we can talk about on the air. But the thing is, though, overall, we had a great time.
I had a great time. I thought it was terrific. I'm thrilled that we finally got to do it. Like the part that I ended up playing Otto, and you and I had just a few short scenes together. But what I liked about it is that I was thrown into it with maybe a week or two of prep, or really of being the character, and it was so easy. It was just as easy as I expected it to be, with how easy our podcasts always go. And we've always talked about our conversations are just like podcasts anyway. We always have these conversations even when we're not recording. And it was so easy to do that on stage. It translated on stage too. And I was very happy about that, how easy it was for us to riff back and forth about it. Even when we were making up something a lot back about Clyde or whatever, like we were...
I will say this. There's an infamous never to be seen on purpose practice.
Oh, gosh.
The Western version.
So I have the video of this still. And y'all had gotten tired, or somebody was dropping lines, and I needed to change it up badly. And so, because it was just having a rough rehearsal. And so Matt gets out there, and I said, okay, let's just start Act 2 again, because that was horrible. What happened? How was everybody missing their lines and their cue? And I was a little upset. And so I said, okay, Matt, get up there and do it, but you have to do the entire thing in a country western accent from now on. And you just kicked right on in with this hillbilly down home country southern accent.
Yeah, and everyone joined in.
And then everyone joined, and it was everybody nailed every line and knew them so well, especially Kara. She was struggling with her lines in that scene.
But we're also dancing around the line and saying
but
it too.
She danced around it, improvised it, and nailed it. It was Harlem Globetrotters good.
Yeah.
For a solid half hour straight. Y'all improvised
the whole scene,
but clearly proved to yourselves and proved to me that you, in fact, did know the lines. And honestly, it was after that rehearsal that I stopped worrying about the show.
Yeah.
Because I knew if y'all could dance like that, that was amazing.
That's all we needed.
And honestly, my mentor, my directing person that I take the most advice from, that's one of her tricks that she says, if the actors are hiccuping and if it feels like it's getting stale, you got to change it up. You got to change the speed. Or what she says is, do it wrong. For God's sakes, do it wrong. Do anything but do it right. And so that's what I did. We did it wrong. And we made Count Varney, a vampire from Transylvania, or from wherever he is, into a country western themed show. And it was horrible but funny and so good. And I have that video still. I kept it. And I have I have it saved on my backup hard drive. And maybe somebody will hack me and it'll get into the cloud and something like, I don't know. Anyway.
We should watch it next Saturday
morning.
Samoflange.